we're talking about Zenless Zone Zero. This is our first Zhu Yuan video for Zenless Zone Zero, or Z's. Z's nuts. Alright, this is version 1.0, the second limited banner attack character, or second limited banner character, period, Zhu Yuan. Who is Zhu Yuan? Zhu Yuan is a ether attribute attack agent in Zenless Zone Zero. She attacks with her enhanced shot shells, or shot shells, as I'm going to be calling them, while she is in her suppressive mode, which is just holding down the mouse button. When in suppressive mode, she does gun attacks, pew, 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 pew. Her attacks deal additional damage when enemies are stunned. Shot shells are her ammunition mechanic. She can hold up to 9 at a time. They are generated in the following ways. Her basic attack combo generates them on N3 and N5. Her quick assist generates 1. Her evasive assist follow-up generates 3. Her EX special attack generates 3. Her chain attack generates 3, and her ultimate generates 3. Reminder, she can only hold up to 9 at a time, so you are looking to have 6 in her magazine before the enemy is stunned, because she generates 3 from the chain attack. The primary methods that are used to generate shot shells are her evasive assist, chain attack, ultimate, and EX special attack. You will want to do 2 evasive assists per enemy stun window, so you can have at least 6 in your clip. Technically, you can get away with 5 because you can do a quick assist, but you get the idea. Zhu Yuan has a core passive talent. Characters in Zenless Zone Zero have core passive talents, which are essentially their ascension bonuses and their ascension passives combined into one. Her bonus is crit damage. Her core passive grants her 40 damage % when using enhanced shot shell attacks, and this bonus is doubled when enemies are stunned. She has a resonance, or additional ability, that is activated by the presence of any support agent or any agent from her faction. An example of a support agent is anyone like Nicole, Lucy, or Rina, or Sokaku, technically. And anyone from her faction would be Qingyi, Jane, or Seth. Of the characters from her faction, the only one you'd ever really use, in my opinion, is Qingyi. And of support agents, the primary one is Nicole. When her additional passive is activated, she gets 30% crit rate for 10 seconds after using a chain attack, ultimate, or EX special attack. It's free crit, it's awesome. Worth noting, this 30% crit will not show up outside of combat on your stat screen. Same with any crit rate from, let's say, her signature W engine or 5-star weapon. We'll get to that later. So your stat screens will probably look like 30 or 40% crit rate out of combat. It's you'll get used to it. What is her skill level priority? Skills are this game's version of talents: basic, dodge, assist, special, and chain. Chain also applies to your ultimate attack. So Zhu Yuan's priority for her skill levels is basic, then chain, then special, and dodge is about equal to assist. Technically, the dodge contributes more to her damage, but the assist is part of Day's buildup, so you should level it anyway. TLDR, max her basic and her chain attack first, before anything else. Also, level everything else as much as you possibly can. Crowns, or hamster cages, are a limited resource. You should not really be looking to quintuple crown characters at this moment in time. Maybe in the future, though. Like, comment, subscribe. We're gonna try to do more Zenless content. More Genshin content is coming. Did you know most of you watching are not currently subscribed? You should subscribe. Okay, how do we play Zhu Yuan? There's a before stun, during stun part 1 and during stun part 2. So to break that down, the before stun, you're just gonna keep in mind that you need to have 6 shot shells before stun. The primary way to do this is by evasive assisting. Evasive assist is the swap mechanic. So when you are about to get hit, swap into Zhu Yuan. So by triggering back swap, you can stay on field with your stun character and easily evasive assist. Fortunately, you can trigger evasive assist anyway, because evasive assist will be triggered by any attacks that can't be defensive assisted. During stun, I'm going to introduce a combo that I'm going to be referring to here on as unloading, or an unload combo. This is N1, N2, N3, so and then you do a rolling shot. So the way you do the rolling shot is you enter the side input before or after, well, technically during the N3. And then you let go of the side input and she will do another N3. So this does 9 shots in total. If she has 9 shot shells, this unloads the entire magazine. If she does not have 9 shot shells, then she will be doing 2 fizz hits, which is whatever. But either way, it's good practice to do this combo. And it is always worth doing if you have C1. So again, that looks like holding the mouse button while until you start seeing the N3, while she's doing the N3. Do not let go of the mouse button. Keep holding the mouse button. Enter the side input, so side on the joystick, or A or D on keyboard, and then let go of A or D, and she will do 2 shots there. You'll know it's an N3 because it'll spend 3 shot shells and do a triple shot. That's also the reason I have not simplified the combo and put N1 and N3 there, because doing the rolling shot skips the N2. Okay, the second combo that you're going to need to know is EQ, and then unload. Easy. So as I explained, before stun, you need to, well, I recommend you generally on-field your stun character an evasive assist with Zhu Yuan to build her shot shell charges. During stun, you're going to chain attack on Nicole and Zhu Yuan, or any support character in Zhu Yuan. You need to make sure that Zhu Yuan is chain attacking before your support character if you are using the A rank free-to-play weapon Starlight Engine. If you are using any other weapon, you do not need to worry about the exact order of your chain attack. So you can chain attack on Nicole and then immediately chain attack on Zhu Yuan and start doing damage instead of waiting for the quick assist. Technicality, you can ignore it, or it may be important. We'll talk about it when we get to weapons and when we talk about the Starlight Engine. So Zhu Yuan rolling shot bypasses N2, which allows Zhu Yuan to use all 9 shell shots at once, or in the shortest combo possible. After you do your first unload combo, you want to back swap to Nicole so you can use her EX special. Make sure Nicole has energy so you can use her EX special here. This allows you to re-up any and all buffs that Nicole gives. You hopefully will want to have Zhu Yuan's ultimate available during this second combo window. However, it is pretty unlikely to be the case unless you're just taking a long time to stun enemies. So what you should do when your ultimate is not available is after the quick assist, you finish her normal attack combo since it skips to N3. So you can do N3, N4, N5, then use her EX special and unload as many shots as you have if your ult is available. While you could try to greed and do the N3 still, let's just keep it simple and do quick assist into her EX special, into her ultimate, and then unload into the enemy. And that will last for your entire stun window, ideally. Okay, W engines, or massive dub engines. I'm referencing calcs by one of my Twitch chatters, Wrigley Tin, because their results were consistent with my own and my own assumptions. It saves me a little bit of effort to put it all together. They're also very helpful and help with fact checking this guide. So quick shout out to Wrigley Tin. Her signature S rank or 5-star is the Riot Suppressor Mark 6. It has 741 base attack, it gives 15 crit rate, it gives 48 crit damage, and it gives 35 shot shell damage percent. It gives a lot of stats, but they may arguably not be the stats that she needs the most. Attack percent is her most valuable substat, and you can even use attack percent main stats on slots 4 and 5. It is most likely to be, or an attack percent main stat is most likely to be used on slot 5, which is your goblet slot. TLDR, no, attack percent is very important and better than building additional crit damage. Now, there is a conditional attached to the damage percent passive. Whenever you use her EX special attack, you get the next 8 normal attacks buffed. However, when it says normal attacks and 8, that's very loose. The damage percent also applies to any rolling shots, which are technically considered dodge skills by her talent values, or by her skill levels, or skill values. And the N3 that fires 3 shot shells, or does 3 instances of normal attack damage, only counts as 1 hit for the quota. So the passive is not as conditional as possibly expected or theorized, which does help the Riot Suppressor be a bit better than you would than expected on release. The next best option is the Primordial Jade Wing Spear. I'm sorry, the Brimstone. The Brimstone, as a standard 5-star weapon, actually has lower base attack than limited 5-star weapons. So it gives 3.5 to 28% F attack. Why am I calling it F attack or FATAC or final attack? Because this game's stats are a bit confusing. One, your characters generally have higher base attack than they do in Genshin. As an example, Zhu Yuan and Ellen have 1.5k base attack, which is very high. But even outside of that, once you enter combat, your stats stop being treated as base attack and your attack value becomes your attack. So any attack buffs are multiplicative with whatever your total attack is. It's very interesting, and it just means that despite being smaller numbers, the attack buffs are very proficient. To put that in Genshin terms, imagine... Yeah, to put this in Genshin terms, it's actually really easy. Noblesse Oblige is a 20% attack buff in Genshin Impact. This generally is about a 8 to 12%-ish damage increase. If Noblesse Oblige was in Zenless Zone Zero, it would just be a 20% damage increase. So it helps the attack buffs be a lot more parsable, is the upside to it. Okay, now there is a stacking conditional on the Primordial Jade Wing Spear, which stacks up to 8 times. So this causes damage fluctuation because it will not be stacked immediately for the first sun state. However, you should be able to keep it stacked for your second combo window, which makes Brimstone about 2 to 3%-ish behind the Riot Suppressor. It's a very good weapon. If you have this, you don't need to worry about pulling for Riot Suppressor. It's just very good, at least right now, because of a lack of other options. Free-to-play weapon option is called the Starlight Engine. The Starlight Engine has 4-star base, which is 595, gives 25 attack percent. This is basic attack percent, so this one applies to your base attack. And after Quick Assist, it gives 19.2% final attack. This is the best free-to-play option. This weapon is actually a craftable, so everyone should be able to have it at R5. Weapon's passive is triggered by Quick Assists. Why is that important? And why am I stressing it so much? Because you have to be aware it is triggered by Quick Assists. Quick Assists are the follow-up ability that support characters have and some defense characters have. So after Nicole's chain attack and after Nicole's EX special, a Quick Assist can be triggered to Zhu Yuan. You need to be aware that you need to use the Quick Assist. You can't just attack after doing a chain attack in the stun window. So that is where it is very important to Quick Assist with, or to chain attack with Zhu Yuan before you chain attack with Nicole, so you can use Nicole's chain attack for a Quick Assist to activate the Starlight Engine. This weapon is roughly 12.7% behind the Riot Suppressor, which is primarily due to people not understand it. There's a misconception about it being 6%, and this is primarily due to a misconception about how the substats and main stats need to be distributed for the Riot Suppressor. If you do not assume attack subs and attack main stats, it is much lower. Also worth noting, I am a big fan of a grouping combo. This is a tip that I'm going to mention personally. You trigger your EX special on your stun character and then immediately swap to Nicole and use her EX special to trigger a chain attack. This helps you group enemies and gives you the chain attack damage on the grouped enemies. This is my personal current favorite way of dealing with small enemies and grouping them and executing them, because doing the chain attack gives us more damage. It's really nice. However, Starlight Engine can't easily do this, so I figured I would mention it here. The Cannon Rotor is the Battle Pass W engine for attack specialized agents. It is a crit rate main stat, so it gives 20% crit rate, and it gives 7.5 to 12% F attack, or final attack. This weapon is about as good as the Starlight Engine. It's a bit worse at R1, it's a bit better at R5. However, it doesn't exactly have a conditional, so you don't need to worry about how you're playing. You don't need to worry about playing around Quick Assists. It also gives crit rate, which can help with getting your builds off the ground, which is primarily useful since we're in version 1.0. No one has great builds yet. Cannon Rotor is a fine weapon. The overall trend with the Battle Pass weapons in this game is they're fine. There isn't really an outstanding one yet, but the Cannon Rotor is a very good option for Zhu Yuan if you have nothing else, especially if you buy the Battle Pass for the resources anyway. All right, artifacts or drive discs. So the way drive discs work in this game, or artifacts, is there are 6 slots, and you can have a 4-piece and a 2-piece. Or you can just have a 4-piece and 2 offsets. The 4-piece that I recommend is Chaotic Metal. It gives 10 ether damage percent on the 2-piece. The 4-piece effect is 20% crit damage and 5.5 to 33% crit damage. Additionally, the conditional for the crit damage is having Corruption be triggered, and each tick of corruption damage that the enemy takes increases the crit damage by 5.5% up to 33%, so 53% crit damage at max stack. This requires corruption. What is corruption? Corruption is the ether anomaly. What is anomaly? Anomaly is the 3rd HP bar that enemies have. It is the little circle next to the enemy HP that represent with the element symbol. When that is filled up, anomaly is triggered. The corruption anomaly does damage when enemies are hit at a 0.5 second interval. So basically, as long as you have triggered corruption, you will be stacking Chaotic Metal's effect. How do you make that more reliable? I'd recommend you play with a second ether character. It's almost like I've been mentioning Nicole this entire video. The other thing is I would recommend building Nicole on Anomaly Mastery. Nicole's damage is technically not high enough to avoid Anomaly being competitive as her best build. It also is cheaper because Anomaly basically just does damage from the main stats, almost like Genshin's Transformatives. However, unlike Genshin's Transformatives, Anomaly damage scales with your attack and your damage percent, your penetration, and your Anomaly proficiency. Anomaly Mastery is the build-up stat, so I would put Anomaly Mastery on slot 5 or slot 6 for Nicole, Anomaly Proficiency on slot 4, and then slot 5 can either be attack or ether. Ether technically better, but whatever. The runner-up set, besides no set and a bunch of 2-pieces, is 4-piece Glad. Woodpecker Electro. Woodpecker Electro, the 2-piece is 8% crit rate. So this set is something that you should probably be farming anyway from the strongbox. Side note, you should never farm the domain for this set. It's paired with the worst set in the game. It just gives def, and there's no def scaling character right now besides Ben. So you should really only be getting the set from the strongbox or tuning. This can be competitive with some characters' best in slot sets when the conditional is played around. However, the conditional is dodge counters and EX specials, as well as basic attacks. Zhu Yuan does basic attacks. That's easy for her. The problem is Zhu Yuan does not do a lot of EX special, and she does not do any dodge counters in an ideal world. So this set, while it's technically fine, it gives 9% final attack. It's fine. You should really just be using it for the 2-piece. Okay, main stats. Slot 4 is your circlet slot, so you should be using crit damage or attack percent. Her 5 slot is your goblet slot. You should be using ether damage or attack percent. 6 slot is your sands. You should be using attack percent. Now let's talk about constellations or Mindscape cinema levels. Okay, what is C1, M1, level 1? E1? After using a chain attack or ultimate, Zhu Yuan gains 1 stack of reload or 1 charge of reload. What is reload? Reload is a mechanic that is only here on C1. When her magazine count hits 0, she is immediately granted 6 shot shells. So if you use 9 shot shells, you're immediately given another 6. Or if you run out of shot shells mid-combo, say you only had 3 shot shells, you'll be filled up with the missing 6. The damage increase from this can technically be as low as 5% if her ultimate is available in every stun state. However, having your ultimate available for every single stun state in combat is really unlikely. This makes when her ultimate is not available, the damage increase during that stun window is roughly 15%. If you even this out to one stun window with ultimate, one stun window without ultimate, you're looking at about an 8% damage increase. There is also a significant amount of quality of life from this reload effect because it also makes her less reliant on evasive assist follow-ups to generate shot shells before the enemy is stunned. It's very good. I would generally recommend this if you like playing Zhu Yuan. It makes her gameplay easier. It is also just always a damage increase. It's quality. I like it. Technically, damage increase-wise, her C2 is more. Zhu Yuan's damage percent increases by 10% each time an enemy is hit by her shot shells, up to 50%. This lasts 4 or 5 seconds and is refreshed every shot. So this will stack over her first during stun combo and be fully stacked ideally for the duration of her second. This additionally increases Zhu Yuan's resistance to interruption, and she will take 10% less damage while in the suppressive state. Her third constellation is +2 talent levels, or +2 skill levels for every skill. Unlike Genshin, this game just levels all your skills with your constellations. Her C4 is her shot shell attacks ignore 25% of enemy defense every time they're fired. Pretty nice. Her C5 is another levels talent, so +2 for everything. Her sixth Mindscape cinema level, or Mindscape, or level, or constellation, whatever. After firing 12 shot shells, her EX special cost decreases to 30 and does an additional 880% skill damage. This effectively changes her EX special at level 13 from 1388.4 to 1388.4 plus 880. It's fine. I think she kind of peaks at C2 or M2 or M3 or M4, but 6 isn't bad. And if you're going for 4, like talent levels are important. It gets murky. There's no clear stopping point, but don't worry about it. It's early days. I maybe wouldn't even recommend pulling Mindscape Cinema at all for an attack character right now. But if you really like Zhu Yuan, just know that they're all generally pretty good. All right, teams. Zhu Yuan's teams are very simple and honestly kind of restricted right now. They're not really. She requires a support character. There are a lot of support options, but Nicole is free on her banner and gives her the most damage of any of them. I like Nicole. Oh yeah, Nicole also enables her set. I like Nicole. I'm shocked to say I like Nicole. So play Nicole plus any stun character.
That's all, folks.
The alternatives are Rina or Lucy. If you use Rina or Lucy, you can use their additional abilities with characters like Kaleda or Von Lycon, or Lycon. Lycan? Von Lycan. That's definitely not correct, but we're going to call him Von Lycan anyway. Anyway, stun characters in Zhu Yuan's teams are currently interchangeable until Qingyi releases in version 1.1. Speculation is Qingyi will be the first half of 1.1, so start saving your wishes now. She is better than any of the other stun characters that you could possibly use by, we're assuming, 40% currently. Qingyi is going to be a massive buff for Zhu Yuan. I recommend you pull for her if you're pulling for Zhu Yuan. Now, the current best stun option is technically Von Lycon, or Von Lycon. The other option is the other standard banner character, Kaleda. Kaleda's dodge counter builds up more days than any of the other stun characters, which can make Kaleda really nice for building up stun against aggressive enemies. Although Kaleda is arguably not much better than Ambi, if at all, and Ambi is free. Being an A-rank character isn't normally that important. However, it is important to mention for stun characters, because stun is affected by days, which contributes to the stun state. So days build up is affected by your talent levels, your skill levels on every attack. So having easy access to the all level +2 Mindscapes is really helpful and really closes the gap between the A-rank stunners and the S-rank stunners if the S-rank stunners don't have additional passives. So Ambi is a very viable option and very real. Ambi primarily has a lot of energy issues, so you're going to want to use energy regen weapons. You should always be using impact on slot 6 for stun characters. You should never not, but you should build as much ER as you can from the 2-piece and from an energy weapon. So Ambi is free, A rank, it gets +2. She's very similar to Kaleda. Once Qingyi releases, Zhu Yuan will arguably be about as good or potentially better than Ellen, so that is awesome to hear and awesome to see. And I technically prefer Ellen's gameplay to Zhu Yuan's. So the problems with Zhu Yuan's gameplay is really just she's a ranged character in this game. Do you know how this game's mechanics work? This game has damage fall off. If you are far enough away from the enemy, you do less than half the damage. The other problem with her ranged attacks is their AoE is very small. Nicole is a grouper, which is great. The problem is Zhu Yuan isn't great at hitting all the enemies that are grouped by Nicole. It's really awkward. And the damage fall off is also really awkward because a lot of Zhu Yuan's attacks make her move backwards. Just some odd choices that her AoE isn't a little bit bigger and that her attacks make her walk back. These are potentially very grief mechanics, but you can work around them or even reset for them to not be problematic, which you will be doing currently if you're trying to get stars on Shiyu, because Shiyu Critical Zone is very difficult right now. I'm a big fan of how difficult it is, and I really like it. I also really like how aggressive the enemies are, but these are issues that can be very frustrating with Zhu Yuan. So I figured I would have to mention them because it really annoyed me. I'm getting over it. I'm learning a lot. I like Zhu Yuan significantly more now than I did when I first played her, but they are caveats. They need to be mentioned. Zhu Yuan is also the game's second ever limited banner character and the game's first ether DPS character. Because enemies have elemental weaknesses, being the only ether attack character is very good currently because there's no other option if an enemy is only weak to ether. So TBD on how important ether weakness actually will be, but it is, again, something that's worth mentioning. She is also the second ever attack character, so they could just release. We'll see, have to see what else they release. 1.1 characters have no attack option. They're doing a stun character and an anomaly character. 1.3 on the other hand, or 1.2, may have more attack characters that may be more compelling to you. But if your goal is short-term oriented, you want to get max stars on Shiyu defense in version 1.0, I recommend pulling Zhu Yuan. That being said, long-term, no idea. Absolutely no idea. Especially when you factor in her, I guess you could say, clunky mechanics, which is the thing I was complaining about before with the auto target and the damage fall off. You could say Zhu Yuan is very second half of 1.0 limited DPS, which is an interesting trend for Hoyo games, and it's weird that it happens 3 times, or it's weird that it's happened 3 times. Kind of odd.